Let's roll. This is Countercharge, your podcast for ranks, flanks, and kings of war. Join your hosts as they delve into the world of Panithor and bring you worldwide coverage of all things Kings of War.
Welcome to Countercharge, and I'm Rob Knuff, the Paymaster.
And I'm Matt Croger, just the little red goblin. Strap yourself in, blokes, because Rob is going to have trouble containing his excitement, both psychologically and bodily, okay? Because the Ogre changes have got him revved up and ready to go.
What's funny is, just like we talked about previously on the primer for the Forces of the Abyss, you look at the changes and it kind of almost comes off underwhelming. But as you look into these, you're like, whoa, from a modeling perspective, you've seen some old favorites come back. You have some new, dare I say, new unit sizes for certain unit types that have come back. Matt, out of the 4 armies in the Fracture book, now I'm biased because I love ogres. This is my favorite. And honestly, I'm going to have the hobby wobble now because we're going to talk about one unit in particular that I'm just like, oh my gosh, how can I model this up?
Oh, how convenient that it's an army of large infantry, Rob, that gets you your hobby mojo back.
Let's dive right into command orders. They've lost some, they've changed some, and they've got a bunch of new ones. Snapping Croc Dog, which has been removed. Smoke Bombs, which is a 4+, which is the same, which gives you stealthy, right? Protect the Tribe, it's on a 5+. Unengaged units, or units charged this turn, gain Vicious Combat, +1 to the dice if the target is engaged alongside a friendly goblin unit. So you get Vicious, basically on a 5+. Then they have That's Aw Stash, which is on a 4+, and it's +1 unit strength until next turn. Ooh, I like that, right? Because one of the things that people have complained about, including, well, I don't know if I really complained about it, but it is a thing, right? The cheap hordes with the unit strength 4, you're really going to out-unit strength this army. And they've done 2 things to help with that, I think. This is the first of that, right? Which is, new. There's no restrictions. You want to put on goblins? Be my guest.
Well, speaking of goblins, the next one is Goblin Explosives 5+, which is a new one. On a non-spell ranged attack, each natural 6 to damage deals 2 damage instead of 1. That's not blast, that's on the damage roll.
It's just straight up an extra damage. So I really think that's super cool. And their final command is Marching Orders on a 4+, large infantry only. At the double gains 1 extra pivot. So I'm moving 12 with 2 pivots. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, Hunters still have Pathfinder, right? So, okay.
One thing we haven't touched on with all the command orders across our primers, Rob, is there actually has been a bit of effort into things like the names. They haven't got these generic by your master's will. That's all the surge ones. They are, and it's same with the spells, which we'll touch on shortly. Is there's been more effort there, which I like as well.
Well, and I think it's important that we should mention that there's 2 generic commands that are in the game, and 15 other commands for armies not in this book have been updated or added or changed. My initial reaction when I reviewed this beautiful copy that Mantic provided us to share with the fine Countercharge audience was that, wow, there was a lot more changes in here than I was expecting. And it gives me a lot of hope when we get Arrogance, in Q4, in maybe November, right? If this has got this many changes, what can we expect for Arrogance? So you did mention Arcane Library. They do have a unique spell called the Step Storm, which is great because they live on the Mammoth Steps, right? The Step Storm 2 is for 25 points for Ogre spellcasters. It has 18-inch range, can be cast in close combat. No damage. If hits are scored, the target unit rerolls natural to hit 6s for ranged and combat. And the second result stands until the end of its next turn.
Wow. So that's anti and reverse elite.
This is interesting, right? There are units that, given the propensity for shooting in the game right now, I'm thinking like Berserker Braves or something, right? Like this might be something that could help.
And ogres are a reasonably common army, right? So people that are taking those shooting lists now have something to think about. Well, what if I come up against ogres? but without it being OP against shooting as well.
I really, really love it. And I also love the fact we talked a little bit about this, the very thematic name, the Step Storm. Like this warlock has conjured up this, this tornado come rustling down across the steps. I'm a big fan. So I'm very excited about this list, if you can't tell at this point, Matt. So let's start with some of my favorite things. My very most favorite thingest in the whole wide world is that they have combined rabble, sharpsticks, and goblin spitters into a single unit. Okay. Well, I like where this is going, right? I mean, I'm already thinking from a modeling standpoint, what am I doing here, right? Like, oh, I mean, so you're going to have, I sort of envision like a couple ranks in the front with phalanx, with spears pointing out. And then I've got maybe a couple leaders hanging out in the back, and then a bunch of, maybe 2 or 3 ranks full of spitters. So what's super interesting about this is that the new unit's just called Red Goblins. They've combined everything into one profile, and it's sort of done like an average thing. But here's the kicker, and this is what I really, really am excited about. The Horde unit unlocks. It's 165 points. So now you have a 165 point unlocking unit that can shoot, that can give you unit strength 4, right? Because, if you take a regiment of warriors at 185 points, that's more than this. And those are only 2 unit strength. I love that they have, I won't say cheaper, because like I said, the sharp spicks were only 145 before, and the spitters were 140, and the rabble was 130. So the price definitely went up, but you're paying the tax because you can shoot and you have phalanx.
It's not much of a premium.
No, I love it, dude. I think this is my favorite thing. And oh, by the way, it's got the goblin trait. And we'll get to my other favorite changes, or more interesting change is the goblin bigot himself. But yeah, so the Horde has hits on 5s, shoots on 6, defense 4, attacks 20, 21 nerve, 165. Now the regiment is not sexy because it's auxiliary, but it has, melee 5, shoots on 6, defense 4, attacks 10, 14 nerve, and 100 points.
Still does a lot for 100 points.
Right, but yeah, phalanx and short bows with 18-inch range. If you channel back into the dark days of 2nd edition, one of the units that was really, really, really popular, or one build that was really popular, is to take a bunch of spitters and put them in front of a bunch of either boomers or even crossbows, right? The shooters. And back then, you were taking cover. But if you're standing still now, the cover doesn't matter because you're standing still. You're still taking cover for shooting over your own unit, but you're standing still, so it negates that, right?
I didn't read the Ogre changes before coming on. This is just about one of the most elegant solutions to an issue in an army list I think we've seen across 4 editions, because almost across every edition, you had no reason to take red goblins, right? Other than maybe blasters.
Well, because none of them unlocked.
And well, none of them unlocked. They didn't play a good enough role.
I mean, you still could get cheap unit strength, right? I guess, because if you get a Horde, you're still unit strength 4. But now they unlock. I don't know. I'm in love with this unit, dude. I don't know how I can contain myself because I'm just thinking like, okay, how am I going to make these hordes? With the spearmen in the front, shooters in the back.
Well, like you say, so much modeling opportunity, right?
So much room for activity.
They're Sea Guard for goblins.
100%. A whopping 165 points for the Horde. I mean, yes, you're paying a little bit more, but honestly, an unlocking unit strength 4 unit for ogres, that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's not unlike elves too, is the rest of the army moves quickly enough too that you can have a horde or 2 of these, right, being left behind on tokens, and the other person has to get around your ogres before they can get to them. And then when they do, they've got phalanx. And, still Def 4, which is nothing to sneeze at. They're not Def 3.
The most interesting change, and I don't know what to think about it, but if I'm leaning into these goblin units, the Red Goblin Bigot is no longer a hero. He's not a champion or warlord. He's in support. And he still provides the same benefits, and he's 15 points less. So he doesn't get commands.
Is that the first time we've seen that as well?
I've never seen a hero unit that's not in a champion or a warlord.
Do you know what? I would like to see that happen with the non-inspiring heroes in general. So, like we talked about in the Basalian Army Primer, Estelle doesn't have inspiring. get her out of the champion slots and let's get her in as a support character or as some sort of thing as an option. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and so this guy is 80 points, right? And he has Crushing Strength 1, Individual Inspiring for the Goblins, Rallying for the Goblins, and Unit Strength 1. 80 points.
We'll be frothing this and then it'll be a mistake, Rob.
One of the problems is ogres have a lot of great characters. Well, if you want to take this guy, it doesn't hit you, other than it hits one of your support slots. The Big Deal has returned. Which is good because we know he was an homage to Jesse. So I was disappointed when that disappeared. So, I'm glad to see him return. I think it's worthwhile talking about the difference between the Mammoth, which is in support, and the Big Deal, which is actually in the Warlord section. This guy's a Warlord. The big difference is that Big Deal is unique and is 320 points. A lot of points. The Mammoth is 250 and is still a monster chariot. So the Mammoth monster chariot, he is on a base 50 by 100. The Big Deal has a special base size, and I don't know where this came from, of 80 by 100. It's the same length, but it's wider. It's double the width. So it's almost like two chariots put together.
Yeah. To represent he's bigger, I guess.
Yeah. He's Brutal 2 versus Brutal 1 on the regular Mammoth. And then the other big change between the Mammoth and him, and again, this is 70 points more, but the Mammoth is Crush 2, Thunder 2. He's Crush 3, Thunder 1. A small thing, but a big thing. He's Fearless, which the Mammoth is too, and the Rampage D6 Combat, that's the same. They're both Strider, and they both have Wild Charge 1, but he's Inspiring. Now, the one rule that's missing that we're like, the one that gives a unit within 12 inches, a +1 brutal. That's not there anymore. Brutal. But he's got 5 commands plus the 2 generic. And he's a Warlord, so he's got 3 dice.
Buttload of nerve.
Buttload of nerve, right? Yeah, I should mention this. Nerve is 20 instead of 18. And he's got 3 more attacks instead of 12, but he still hits on 4s. And here's another important distinction. He's actually 1 pip slower. He's only a 7 versus 8. So that's a 15 charge for the Big Deal versus 17 charge. This unit is totally interesting to me because I'm like, okay, you're giving me twice the size of a base. Well, not quite twice because the Mammoth is 50 by 100. This is 80 by 100.
Well, and I thought, that's a bit annoying, but like being a different base size, but it's just an infantry regiment, isn't it? Turned sideways.
You are correct, sir. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So that's good that it's still at least an existing base size within the game, but just oriented differently.
I know you're not a huge Ogre player, but what are your thoughts on the Big Deal making a return?
From a Kings of War history point of view, I love it. I love that. I think I've got to look further into the book. Did they write in some extra fluff?
To be fair, I got stuck on the Forces of Nature theme. I haven't got to the Ogre stuff yet, but I bet they did. So the Army Standard has been renamed to Paymaster. He's went up by 5 points, but he has an upgrade called Dakamograk. Man, that's going to be a mouthful. And it's 20 points. You apply it to the Paymaster, and at the start of the Doc's turn, 1 friendly unit within 6 inches gains +2 nerve until its next turn. Okay, my mind's already spinning. This is where I think you combine this with the Warlord, right? And the Warlord allows you to upgrade any warrior regiment in this battalion to a Horde. You gain 12 attacks, nerve 25 plus, and a base size of 240 by 80 for 90 points. So 90 points, your Hordes are back on the menu.
With the combination with the Paymaster, you're going to 30 attacks and 27 nerve.
Right, and it's a 185 for the regiment plus 90. So that's 275. That's actually cheaper than the Legion used to be at 300.
Well, and things like Legions, I think, are more viable now, right? With only 2 in the frontage. So, they're far less likely to, they can still be chuffed up, obviously, but they're far less likely to get, say, one shot by someone setting up a triple charge or something.
And there's lots of regiments that are real killy in this game that are in that 250 to 275 points. Am I wrong?
Mm.
Well, how many of them have 30 attacks?
Mm.
There's probably like Berserker units that have 30 attacks. And the Warriors, when they're upgraded to Horde, they're going to be unit strength 4.
Mm.
So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited about that changes. And I guess a few other changes we should mention. The Matriarch on Chariot, it's no longer a standalone entry. It's just part of the matriarch. You can mount her for 15 points on the matriarch.
Something that I know a couple of people locally have taken that's a change is the boomer troops are now auxiliary, Rob. So that's interesting. The hunters have got a little bit of a nerf from D. Oh, well, is it a nerf? It's a change. Slayer D6, they're just Slayer 3 flat now.
Well, so it's more consistent, but it's potentially less.
Yeah. Boomer chariots, their boomstick attacks have gone up with their melee attacks down a little bit. And then what else have we got? Oh, the Red Goblin Blaster's been clarified from Blast D6 to combat only. The Bully now unlocks Berserker Brave regiments, which is good.
As core, yeah. So if you wanted to take all Berserker army, now you can. Other big change that's super important, because I know this is in the repertoire of a lot of great Ogre list builders. The Ogre Warlock no longer has Lightning Bolt.
That's interesting.
And the guy went up by 5 points.
Drain Life, Fireball, Mind Fog.
I think Mind Fog replaces the Lightning Bolt. The power of the planes for each friendly unit with the tribal strength trait, and yes, Siegebreakers don't have that still. Within 6 inches, increase the amount of dice rolled with non-arcane library spells. So I guess that means the ones that he has access to like here, which is Drain Life, Fireball, and Mind Fog, to by 1 to a maximum +3. So you can. So on one hand, you've lost access to Lightning Bolt, which isn't great, but now you can buff your Drain Life again.
It's a forced style change, isn't it? In list building, like a lot of people built around that Lightning Bolt across editions. I'd love to know what the theory was behind that. It forces you, if you're taking that, they're making, because you previously, couldn't buff Drain Life, but now Drain Life 8 is very good.
Another change that's interesting that does hurt a few people. I don't know if this list is as popular, but back in the day, sergeants were all the rage because they had elite and you could upgrade to the crossbow. You can no longer do that because the model that they made for the unit does not have a crossbow. But now you can upgrade Boomer Sergeant to a crossbow, but he doesn't have elite. Yeah, there's a lot of cool changes. Like we mentioned, the Warlord. I mean, that one's the one that's just like, ooh, warrior regiments go into hordes, which used to be called legions. Oh, I don't know, man, because there are Ogre players out there that have legions.
Yeah, and Grok gets the same change, but they've renamed his ability to change Seabreakers to Specialist to Hammer Time.
Yeah, it makes the Siegebreaker Specialist. So that means you can have 4 in that battalion, right? Which is more than enough. And he's up by 5 points.
So again, I think what we see across these army lists, Rob, is there's a lot of change in how you build your list, or the potential to how to build your list. You know, so in the Ogres, we're seeing it with goblins, the big changes to goblins and things like that, and adding some more resilience with things like, pushing Lightning Bolt away and maybe giving Drain Life a buff. That's good because it changes what we see reflected on the tabletop and makes it more interesting. I'm a big fan. Like I said, at initial read with a lot of these armies, I was like, oh, that's not as much change as I hoped, but the devil is in the detail, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you have more options now. So if you want to do a Berserker army, you take a Berserker Bully. They're all the Berserker Braves are core. Do that. You want to really build up some unit strength. All right, we'll do that too. You can take this new Red Goblin unit, which is 165 points at unit strength 4 and it unlocks. And you can take the Bigot, which moved from a hero slot to a support slot. And by the way, if you're also playing Siegebreakers, they're not taking support slots anymore. They're in specialists, because take Grockamok and the Bigot, then you're living the dream, right? But I guess you also got to take the Warlord. Man, here's my problem. There's too many options here that I'm just like, Berserker options, Legion, or what we call Hordes now. Ooh, I just don't know.
So much room for activity.
The Mammoth is here still. I love the Mammoth model, but hey, put him on a bigger base, and now he's the big deal again.
You might actually have to get some hobby done, Rob.
Namagrok also, the Masters of the Plains rule now boosts all non-arcane library spells. A lot of the units went up by like 5 points, and that's fine. I think the Red Goblin Blaster, this is the list that's got me most salivating, and mostly because I have a fairly big army, and I have units that now can see the table again, and there's this hobby hole in my army. I'm like, I do not have a Red Goblin unit. Certainly not in a Horde. And again, this is a Jeremy unit, right? He can put some Spitters and some Phalanx, and so he can run that unit in Goblins. It's got all the right units, so it could be Sharpsticks, it could be Spitters, it could be Rabble, or he can run it in this army, and it could just be Red Goblins. So I don't know. This is a really great army tweak, I think. And I'll reiterate what you said. I think the combining of all those different Red Goblin units into one Red Goblin unit, I think is my favorite thing of any of the changes in the book. I just think, man, that's so neat. It's a great hobby thing, but it also happens to help with the unit strength thing if you want to go that route.
There's been lots of great people involved with the rules committee and whatever it's called now over the years. But I'll tell you what is, like, I don't know about the international guys, but locally, I've never had more faith in anyone other than someone like the Devilfish has been the right kind of person to be on that. He's incredibly fair-minded, attempts to be not biased, looks for the minutiae, puts so much effort and thought into it. The other guys are obviously in line, and I think they have produced an excellent book, a really excellent book. So, congrats to them, because it is, they'll be working on the next one already. It's like, it's a big job.
We barely touched a lot of the interesting stuff that's in the book. The theme is really dripping in this book. The artwork is great. The photos of the models are great. I mean, this is a book, man. And I think the biggest thing about this book is what it tells me about arrogance, right? Like, they put a lot of effort into this book. Wow. Can you imagine what arrogance is going to be? This book has upgraded commands for the units that are not in this list. It has generic commands. It's got a bunch of the errata that's been cleaned up. It's got rule changes. They fixed all the loot token shenanigan bullcrap where if you're withdrawing, now you have to drop the token. Right? It's just great. I am a big fan, and it's given me a lot of confidence in what we're going to see in arrogance. So, well, I think this will be an excellent spot to cut the primer off here. And again, if you haven't listened, we've got 4 of these out, one for each of the armies in the Fracture book. I want you to get excited by reading the book. I want you to get the feeling that we got when we look through this book and we're like, holy crap. And we discover things. And I guarantee you there's stuff we didn't talk about. I'm really looking forward to having that discussion once you get a copy of your book, and head over to the Countercharge Facebook group and let's have a discussion. And I'm excited. So with that, let's end it here. And until next time, keep countercharging.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Countercharge. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at counterchargepodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter at countercharge15, or by commenting on the Countercharge Kings of War podcast Facebook group. If you enjoy the show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Until next time, keep countercharging. Music is a composition of Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under Creative Commons.